It is my firm belief that nothing in this world steals opportunity, destiny, and potential from people than fear. Our own fear of failure, fear sometimes of success, as crazy as that sounds, it's real, and just fear in general of the unknown. Then let me talk about going from fearful to fearless, because it's my firm belief also that if you're going to be great in any capacity, in any field, you have to be fearless. Let me explain why. If you look at any field, sports, politics, science, the arts, if you take the people that are known for that field, the leaders, the great legends of that field, those that push the envelope, those that redefine the limits, every one of them displayed fearlessness. Every one of them looked at what had been the status quo, or they looked at the odds against them, or they were exposed to people telling them that they could not do it, or that failure would mean this or that. And they met that with fearlessness, and they succeeded, and they became great. And it's the same with you and I. If we are to escape the prisons of our comfort zones, the prisons of mediocrity, of status quo living, of being stuck in a field or an area that we know our passions are not in, when our passions are elsewhere, our visions are elsewhere, our dreams are elsewhere, but we're stuck somewhere else. If we're going to escape that, we have to break the chains of fear and move into a mentality of fearlessness. Yes, the both sides of risk are still there. You know, you could fail. That's the risk. The risk is failure, and whatever failure means. That's not going to disappear. But what's going to take you from one side of the risk to the other side of the risk is fearlessness. Now, right now, most of us are in the fearful mode. We can list all kinds of reasons why we don't move out and do what we want to do. Or we just stay where we are and we don't even think about creating a plan of escape. Fear. First of all, there are three main steps from moving from fearful to fearless. Number one, you have to acknowledge the fear. Number two, analyze the fear. Number three, annihilate the fear. When we have a fear of something, a lot of times we just are familiar with the emotion. We haven't sat down and actually looked at specifically what it is we're afraid of. We just have these innate fears. And I challenge you, number one, acknowledge the fear. Sit down and have an honest conversation with yourself. Engage in some deep introspection as to what specifically you are afraid of. If you're afraid of failure, why are you afraid of failure? If you're afraid of success, what about success are you scared of? If you're afraid of the unknown, what is it housed within the unknown that you are terrified of? Sit down and think about that. Once you're able to articulate your fears, then you need to analyze them. Okay? You're scared of something. You know what it is specifically. Why are you so afraid of this? Because here's where you will find that the overwhelming majority of our fears are very irrational. Very irrational. Some of us are afraid of snakes and spiders and reptiles, when in reality, they're more afraid of us than we are of them. And if we come across one of them, chances are they'll run away from us. They won't bother us. But we still carry these crazy, irrational fears of these things, and we get terrified whenever we see them. Those fears are irrational. they don't make sense. Why would I be afraid of something that's more afraid of me? That doesn't make sense. It's irrational. Well, I'm here to tell you, most fears operate like that. Because fear is an emotion, it's not based in logic. Most of them aren't based in logic. So if we analyze these fears one by one, after we've acknowledged them, then we can see that they don't make any sense. And the power that they had over us begins to weaken. That's where we get to step number 3. Once we figure out these things are illusions, they're not real, they're irrational, they're not based in reality, and they lose their power over us, then we can annihilate these fears. We can take them one by one and fight them. If it's irrational, we fight it with logic, with reason, with research, with education, with looking at it from a realistic perspective. And we start annihilating our fears one by one. We don't run from them anymore. We face them. We embrace them. We tackle them. We defeat them. Now, it's not an overnight process. This is going to take time. But the more you fight your fears, the greater power and leverage you hold over them. And then finally, you can make that jump. You can leap into your vision, into your dreams, into your passions, and you can leave that prison that fear had you locked in for so long. You can be and do what's deep inside of you. You can finally live out something that was locked in your imagination, but you never felt it would become reality because fear held you back. So take these fears, acknowledge them for what they are, analyze them, and find out they're not as bad as you thought they were. And then that which is left over, you fight it with all your might. Because nothing in this world is worth you being held back and not fulfilling your potential and living your dreams. If you enjoyed our discussion today, you could read more about this and other related topics in my book, Building a Better You, Being Real, Letting Go, and Moving On. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or send me an email. Just click on the links in the description.